Hi everyone, I'm Pouneh Kaufman. I'm a principal program manager in Microsoft's digital employee experience, which is really known as Microsoft IT. So I really focus, everything that we do focuses on our employees and experience. So hopefully you all heard all the great buzz at Microsoft Ignite about Teams Connect and shared channels. We're so excited about the opportunities for seamless collaboration without borders, especially because Microsoft is helping people across the world to stay connected and work together. This last year highlighted the importance of remote work. It was challenging connecting and sharing securely beyond organizational boundaries. That's why I'm so excited to be here and discuss shared channels with all of you. You are our biggest fans and the Teams users that told us you want to collaborate with your colleagues across the organization more flexibly without creating a new team for each group or topic. Well, good news is our Teams engineering heard you. Shared channels was enabled for private preview and internal use at Microsoft. Making it easier now to share channels with anyone is even better. So just to underscore the significance of what we're solving for with shared channels, I want to discuss the experience first. In the past, as a user, you had to log out. Everyone knows that. You had to log out of your primary user account and log in with guest accounts to see messages and collaborate with other organizations. With Teams Connect and Share Channels, you no longer will have to do that. The biggest and most important difference between shared channels and other channels is that there's no switching needed to move to a shared channel in another tenant, right? So shared channels from other tenants are listed as if they were in your home tenant. Behind the scenes, Teams takes care of checking that the account you sign into with M365 has access to shared channels and that it passes the test so you can connect without switching. So I know you all are familiar with how many types of shared channels there are, but I just wanted to recap here and show you that, with shared channels, the differentiation between each one, right? So many of you are familiar with the standard channel, right? It's open collaboration within a team. It inherits full membership list from the team. And in private channels, it's really more about focused collaboration within the team, right? And you manage subset of team members in the private channel, right? Now with shared channels, which you'll have soon, you actually have the ability to have the flexible collaboration across teams and organizations with a managed set of individuals within or outside of a team. So when you think about the different ways of how you use Teams and shared channels, who's creating it, what are the channel members, what does file storage look like, right? And then most importantly, team owner visibility. This is the comparison chart that you think about when you're discussing shared channels. So just wanted to make sure that you guys had that recap. So shared channels addresses three big pain points, right? Many of you know you have problems with oversharing. I know that's a big issue for our security teams at Microsoft. They want to be conscious about what information is shared across the organizations or externally. We also have team proliferation. I'm not sure with you guys, but we have over 250,000 teams. And you can imagine how difficult that is to manage, right? And every time a new team comes up, we implement a governance process to actually, within 80 days, to go back to the team and make sure that people are using it, looking at the data, asking the owners to check it. And even with the governance we have in place, we still have team proliferation, right? And the last thing is really about tenant switching, which I briefly touched on right in the beginning. Being able to address these items. These are three key pain points. So with shared channels, members only see and access what they need for collaboration. You don't have to add people to a team to give them access to a specific channel. For example, we create shared channels for new hire onboarding and share it with Microsoft users who need file access. With shared channels, you don't need to create a new chat or a separate team for each project or working group. You can share channels under an existing team or start a new team just for cross collaboration. That's what I love about it, because this is that whole team proliferation. Now, each shared channel can be used for a different topic, right? You can add any user, as I mentioned, across the organization to one or more shared channels. There's no limit about the members having the number of access to shared channels. And shared channels works just like any other channels in Teams, right? It operates, you can chat, you can meet, you can share files. However, right now, you are not able to add tabs, you are not able to add apps, and you're not able to tag. This is coming and hopefully will be available, when we go GA. But right now, for us who's really testing it out, and for the folks that are looking at it in private preview, it's not available. Those features are not available. But in shared channels, files are stored on a SharePoint site created for a shared channel. So it makes it really easy to collaborate. Now, when someone accepts the invitation to join a shared channel, Teams client shows the shared channel as a resource in the team and channels navigation pane. None of the other channels in the team show up. It's just like a private channel. You don't see that access. Just the shared channel shows up, and the external people have access to the resources. So these are really key points that I want everyone to be aware of. Now, so we've talked a little bit about the pain points of shared channels. How,
can I interrupt you?
Yes.
Can you please hide the Teams window, the small one on the right side below?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me do that. Perfect.
It feels like covering something maybe important, so that's kind of distracting. Now it's perfect.
Is that okay? Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Wonderful. And if there are any critical questions, please let me know. I know that I had asked to wait, till the end, but if you see anything, Michael, that, people I'm asking or talking about, it's fine. I want to make sure that we can actually address them.
There's actually a question to showing the first slide again. There was something hidden by this.
Oh, of course. This is this one.
Yeah, this one, exactly.
Yeah, this is a really important slide, so I'm glad you asked, because this really differentiates the different types of channels there are, and then really shows, especially when you think about file storage and team owner visibility, it's a great comparison of the three.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Great. And of course, these files and presentations will be available for everyone, so we'll make sure that that's there. Okay, everyone okay with this screen? Just want to make sure.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, so we talked about the pain points and what shared channels addresses. So now that you can invite individuals to your shared digital workspace and you can collaborate across the boundaries, it becomes important for you to be able to identify what shared channels are. I don't know if you can actually see in this image, you see a little icon that has the 3 circles going around. That actually is the unique icon to the right of the title, and that identifies that it's a shared channel. Some things that I also do, because I feel that, it's just my personal opinion, obviously, I feel that sometimes it's still a little too hidden, and I want to make sure that everyone sees this. Often in the title name, I actually add an icon myself similar to that, and so that it's really visible and everyone that's a part of the shared channel can see it. We're working obviously very closely with our team's engineering partners. This was feedback that we actually gave them and said, we really need to highlight this, especially because oversharing is a concern. We want to make sure that when users are working in a shared channel, that it's easily identifiable. So this is something that I want you guys to be really aware of. Just like any other channel, the shared channel member will be notified under the team's activity feed. So they'll get that information. Users and guests will have access to the shared channel, conversation, files, and meet out, right? And members can view the team name. At Microsoft, when we launched shared channels, and I'll talk to you about the different phases of the way that we approached our rollout, we decided that at this point in time, that only FTEs and owners can create shared channels. This was a decision that we felt, we'd have to get people used to and accustomed to sharing content and understanding the implications if they overshare before we started actually opening it up to everyone. So that's really more about Microsoft policy that we have. But when you do create a channel, as you can see in the right hand, when you create a channel here, you have a drop down, right? So you have your standard channels, you have your private, and then you have the ability to have your shared channels, right? So this becomes, like I said, alongside in your activity feed, so you can see that. I love to pin channels and conversations. So, and I always recommend it as a best practice. So as soon as I get added to a very important team or shared channel, I'm the first to pin it and make sure that it's in my left rail so I can actually quickly monitor the activity. I don't know about you guys, but I think I'm a part of 500 teams. So it gets really tough. I get anxiety when I start to see my notifications go up. So it's a great way to manage your information. So with the shared channels, as we mentioned, you want to have collaboration across organizational boundaries, regardless of how and where work happens. And it doesn't have to be compromised, right? You don't have to compromise the safety of your people and your data. And that's why we even took that approach to roll it out slowly, to make sure we tested it and we gave feedback to our awesome Teams engineering partners. So when we think about at Microsoft about creating shared channels in a team, we don't allow users to create channels that are highly confidential or have sensitivity labels. If a shared channel is created in a highly confidential team, which is discouraged, the owners are immediately contacted and then the channel is deleted. This is something that we've communicated with our strategy, make sure that everyone in our organization is aware. And we actually monitor closely. We have daily reports to make sure that we're not oversharing, especially in areas of highly confidential and sensitive labels, right? That's something that you want to be careful. You may or may not know that admins actually have access to granular controls, allowing their organizations to stay in control of how external users access data and information. So for us, we worked with our tenant admins at Microsoft to get the policies applied and make sure when we were rolling out, it was applied, with granular controls. As we get better, obviously we will continue to expand that, right? So let me just walk you through the experience. Now you know how to create one, similar to a standard or private channel, and we looked at the overall slide of the comparison side by side. But when we think about the actual user experience, and I'm not sure how many of you have had the chance, are in private preview to look at this or part of our TAP programs. But as a team owner, I can create a shared channel and add members, right? Everybody knows that. Shared channels is part of the existing 200 channel capacity under a team. including deleted channels, right? At Microsoft, we have what we call a ring structure. And in our elite ring, which is the later ring, and we dog food and get people to give us early feedback, we can have employees create right now up to 30 shared channels in a team. In the future, though, when shared channels is GA, it will support 200 shared channels under a team. So right now it's limited, as if you've been working with it, you know, but in the future it will be available to everyone. So thinking about the team owner experience and then the team member experience, right? I have access to the team and shared channel, right? We talked about this. I can see the conversation, files, and content. But again, I cannot add tabs right now. I can't add apps or tags. This is something that if people are familiar with building workflows in their channels, you want to be cognizant of that because you don't have that capability right now, and you want to be able to switch and have the information available still in the conversations and find creative ways to display that content. Some of the good tips I would say, as far as, having access to this team, that you should be aware of, is that shared channels do not inherit the team membership, right? Big differentiator. You can share a channel within or outside the team. And this is very important. Cross-tenant collaboration requires tenant admins to set up a cross-tenant access policy on both sides, right? This is really important. External users come in the host tenant using native identity, and external users and channels are annotated, right? They have guests on the in parentheses by them. This is something that, as you're thinking about your strategy, once shared channel is available in your tenant, it's really important to take note. And that's why you'll see when I walk through our approach, we're really phasing out how we release shared channels. And this piece of it of really being able to collaborate externally with customers and different organizations, we've had to actually work on creating an onboarding process with our legal teams to make sure they're comfortable with it, right? Again, shared channels is awesome, but you have to be careful that you don't want to overshare confidential or information that's not meant to be. One of the big things I keep talking about is the sensitive information in a shared channel, right? When deciding what information to share in a shared channel, pay close attention to your membership, right? You can find the members list in the info pane. Make sure you're looking at the sensitivity labels. These are important factors for you for sharing channels. We struggle, also at Microsoft with this. So that's where, I want to make sure everyone's aware. It's important to have that information. And I know that bringing in, another type of shared channel in a team creates even more of a confusion of what to use when scenario. I don't know how many of you right now, in your companies or working with your customers have this question asked of, hey, what do I use when? I mean, it can be the products or it can be teams now. And now that we're opening up the collaboration across the boundaries, there's going to be a lot more questions. So it's really, really important that you define what scenarios there are. For us, we've given best practices to our employees. We've created a shared channels page at Microsoft to really talk about, what is the best way to practice and why do you use shared channels? And so one of the areas, the scenarios that we're really trying to push forward to help explain the what to use when scenario is about sharing channels with your extended V team members, right, who don't need access to the entire team. I have a team that I work with, a group of partners that help me build solutions, and they're various, they go from FTEs to our vendors. And so I've created a channel in our team to just bring in that content so we can quickly share information. Again, instead of having to go to 5 other teams to search for it, this becomes a great way to extend the share channel across your V teams who don't need access to everything. We also use share channels to manage content for specific topics, right? We do a lot of showcase articles and blogs, so we're starting to build shared channels to bring in different members of the group and build workflows to engage with others across the company. And then also, most importantly, it's really about working together on a project, right? With different individuals outside of a team. It could be your service engineers, it could be your tenant admins, it could be your software engineers. It really gives you this wonderful way to be able to share content. So let me tell you a few things. I briefly talked about policies, compliance, and security settings. These are really, really important at Microsoft. I've shared a lot around share channels, and I can't iterate how important it is because for us, we had to clearly articulate about what are our policies, what is the membership type, and then what is the whole life cycle management of a team. So when you think about the policies and compliance, right, we had to clearly articulate on our share pages around only members of the share channel can view and search, right? Share channels inherit settings, share channels syncs data classification from the site collection of the parent team, share channels inherits sharing settings from a team, right? You can go change that behind the scenes in SharePoint, but naturally it actually inherits that. And then make sure that you're aware around that features take on the host, right? So a tenant who creates the shared channel has these policies that has control of these policies, I should say. And then when you're thinking about membership management, the one thing that you should know is shared channels don't directly inherit from the team on the current version, right? You actually need to set that up. You would need to add these members to that shared channels. You can only add the shared channel within or outside of the membership. And then we talked a little bit about this. You want to be aware of who has access, right? This is for us really, really important to educate our employees and users. You want them to know who's accessing the content, who's sharing the information. And then when we think about the overall lifecycle management of a team at Microsoft, we know that there's this different SharePoint site created for each shared channel. You can imagine, again, this may create a lot of proliferation, but the great thing is that when a team is archived, the shared channel becomes locked as read-only. So that's really important. And if the team is deleted, the shared channel is deleted too. So for us at Microsoft, everyone may have different policies, but team owners can delete a team or restore it within 93 days, right? This can become problematic, if you're deleting teams or channels and you start reaching your thresholds. You need to make sure that you're checking the recycle bin, able to get rid of it, to really be able to manage this. So, be conscious around that. Now, if the team for us at Microsoft is not compliant, which I mentioned to you, we monitor, it will be deleted, under the team. This is really critical for us. It was one of the requirements that we had going forward. So we wanted to make sure that, everyone is aware. One of the other things I do want to, kind of talk about the shared channels is, things that you should know here, right? If you think about, the number of shared channels, if someone is a member of a channel, are they automatically part of the team? No, if you add someone to a shared channel, they can see the participation, you can add them as a member, and they'll see that standard channel, right? So another question that we keep getting, and I wish this was true, can I change an existing channel to a shared channel? Unfortunately, just like we have with, oops, it looks like, okay. Unfortunately, just like we have with private channels, you are not able to convert them. In order to have a shared channel, you would have to create a new one. So I'm hoping in the future that that changes, but right now it's not available. Another question that we get often is really, can I move conversations and files from an existing channel, right, to a shared channel? No, unfortunately, we don't have tools to move conversations across channels. You can move files across SharePoint sites behind the scenes, but right now we don't have that capability. I wish we did. It would make our lives so much easier. Believe me, this is something we get asked a lot. And then a couple other ones, what happens, right, if I remove someone from the team membership? Well, when you remove someone from the team, it doesn't remove him and her from the shared channel within the team. This is really, really important. So I can still have access to a shared channel without being part of the whole team, right? This is a big differentiator that you guys should be aware of. Users will still be notified that they're still member of the shared channel, even though if they've been removed from the team, right? This is important. The next one is, what happens if I remove someone from the team membership? I think I already talked about that one. I'm so sorry. My eyes are going a little bit. So the next one is really about, where can I access shared channels, right? I know we're running out of time, so I want to make sure I go quickly through these. And I'll share all these responses so that all of you are aware, but I did want you to be aware these are really the commonly asked questions, and that you should be prepared to help support your users or your organization when you're thinking about shared channels. It's really important to understand what happens when. One of the big things for us when we actually rolled this out, it was all about creating more authenticity and transparency for our users, so that everyone knew what that employee experience is, right, without creating risk to the company. So these were commonly asked questions that we posted, and I'm happy to share with you. Just the last couple of minutes I know I have, I want to just kind of walk through our shared channels project timeline. As you can see, I mentioned it briefly, we have 4 different phases. And the reason of that is, we partner closely, obviously, with our product engineering teams, and we help test and dog food all these features. So for us, it was all about, let's start sharing channels with our internal users. In phase 1, let's get people proficient. Let's make sure they're not oversharing. In phase 2, which we've started, it's really about sharing channels with external users, right? Bringing in some of our approved TAP customers, being able to start collaborating with them on it. Our next phase is really about sharing channels with internal teams, with the whole teams. And then phase 4, 3 and phase 4, we're still working on the timeline, but it's really about sharing a channel with external teams. So, you can see we're also having to really think through this process. At Microsoft, we can't just enable any feature. We take it very seriously and want to make sure our employees know how to use these features and understand the implications. So sometimes we may actually be slower than our customers, which our partners don't like to do, but it really is to make sure that we capture best practices, build a framework, and help educate our other customers that really want to understand how we're using, these features internally. So, this is just a lot of other ways, just some quick, pictures, scenarios, I should say, about how people internally can connect with customers externally. What does that current process look like? And then what does it look like in the future? These are really big. When we think about cross-tenancy collaboration, one of the big factors for us is our board of directors. As you can imagine, you have these highly confidential meetings. We want to get to the point to be able to bring external members into these highly confidential teams. So this is something that we are working on. I know I'm over time. There's just so much information to share with all of you. I appreciate it if you guys rate my session. Post your Twitter's accounts, post your LinkedIn. Please connect with me. I would love to help you and share our story. And if there's anything we can do, just let me know. Happy to help. Thank you so much for having me today. And I hope all of you have an awesome conference at Teams Nation. It's amazing.